A vaccine built for one person's tumor just cut melanoma's comeback. More than 1,000 high-risk patients tested a personalized mRNA shot plus Keytruda against the deadliest skin cancer inside a country where more than 1 million people live with melanoma, and Wall Street priced a breakthrough in hours. Will the full data prove it extends life long enough to win approval as soon as next year? On August 19, 2026, Moderna and Merck said a late-stage phase 3 trial of a personalized mRNA therapy given with the standard immunotherapy Keytruda, pembrolizumab, cut the risk that high-risk advanced melanoma would recur or spread, lengthened the time patients lived without recurrence or metastasis, and looked better than Keytruda alone. The result comes from company top-line statements reported across outlets between August 19 and 20, not a published paper. Melanoma is the most serious and deadliest form of skin cancer. The trial focused on the narrowest, highest-stakes group, more than 1,000 patients, described elsewhere as just over 1,000, all with advanced high-risk disease where recurrence after surgery and adjuvant immunotherapy remains common, whether locally in lymph nodes or as distant metastasis. That group sits inside a much larger population of more than 1 million Americans living with or previously diagnosed with melanoma. The comparison was not placebo alone, it was combination versus the commonly used drug Keytruda alone, added to standard immunotherapy. The technology is the story. About 10 years in the making, around a decade of development, the vaccine is custom-built for one person's tumor. It reads the genetic material of that tumor, identifies abnormal proteins displayed on the surface of its cancer cells, and trains the immune system to hunt cells carrying that exact signature. That individualization is the scientific mechanism and the logistical hurdle. One batch per patient, not one batch for everyone. What was disclosed is narrow. Only a top-line summary was released. No full dataset, no magnitude of benefit, no hazard ratios for recurrence-free or metastasis-free survival, no absolute risk reduction, no overall survival impact, no durability data, and no safety or tolerability details for the combination versus Keytruda alone. It has not been published, has not been peer-reviewed, and the Food and Drug Administration has not weighed in on efficacy or safety. The companies said they are sharing data with the FDA, and the FDA has agreed to fast-track review. Now underway, but no approval timeline has been provided. The companies are optimistic about market availability as soon as next year in 2027, pending FDA approval and publication. That date is an expectation, not an authorization. Markets treated the topline as a potential inflection point for mRNA beyond infectious disease and for Merck's oncology franchise. On Wednesday, August 19th, Moderna surged by almost 177%, nearly 177%, and Merck rose about 12.5% as the top Dow gainer. That sharply outpaced the broad market, which rose less than 0.25%, with the Dow up more than 100 points and the Nasdaq up about 40. The move reflects investors pricing a first successful late-stage test of a personalized cancer vaccine, not verified clinical benefit or revenue. The day's broader tape was quiet by comparison. Treasury yields eased after the Treasury said it would double buyback operations to support liquidity in longer-dated bonds, pulling the 30-year yield down a day after it hit its highest since 2007. The Treasury noted federal debt topped $40 trillion. Federal Reserve minutes from July showed deepening concern about inflation and willingness among several policymakers to raise rates if inflation does not fall to 2%, drawing little market reaction. Other corporate movers included Marvell Technology up about 10% on a reported $12.2 billion Google custom chip arrangement, and Target up more than 4% and Estée Lauder up more than 16% on earnings updates, with Lowe's also moving. For families, the practical stakes turn on recurrence after surgery and drugs like Keytruda, a therapy that teaches the immune system to attack the private mutations of that person's tumor could extend the period without recurrence, and if overall survival follows, extend life. But without hazard ratios, absolute numbers, how many patients avoid recurrence and for how long, how side effects compare to Keytruda alone, and without cost, manufacturing turnaround time and capacity to build an individualized product at scale, clinicians cannot judge benefit versus burden, and the health system cannot judge who gets it and how fast. The next steps that matter are peer-reviewed publication of the full Phase 3 dataset with recurrence and metastasis-free survival hazard ratios and absolute risk reduction, reporting of overall survival, disclosure of safety for the combination, and a defined FDA fast-track review timeline and approval standard. Until then, this remains a company-asserted signal in more than 1,000 high-risk patients that a 10-year tumor-specific mRNA approach plus Keytruda can delay melanoma's return better than Keytruda alone, with the size, durability, safety, and approvability still undisclosed. Like and follow for more stories that matter.